Picture this. You're buckled into a first-class seat, sipping champagne, surrounded by sleek oak paneling and soft jazz humming through the cabin, when suddenly a voice cuts through the calm like a knife. "Ma'am, you need to move to the back of the plane and over. I'm calling security." That's how it started for Lena Carter, a woman who walked into a storm she never saw coming, but handled it with a grace that left everyone speechless. I'm telling you, the air in that cabin got heavy real fast. Lena, mid-30s, sharp as a tack in her tailored gray suit, her braids pulled back like she meant business, just sat there, cool as a cucumber, staring down the flight attendant, Karen Holt. Karen, all tight bun and sharper attitude, was the kind of person who thought she owned that first-class cabin, every plush seat, every gleaming tray. She stood there, arms crossed, practically daring Lena to argue, her voice dripping with this smug, "You don't belong here" vibe. The other passengers? They just watched, some curious, some annoyed, but nobody said a word. Not yet. Lena, though, she didn't flinch. "This is my seat," she said, calm, steady, like she was stating a fact to a toddler. Karen scoffed, loud enough for the whole cabin to hear. "Excuse me, but this section's for VIPs only. You must have gotten the wrong ticket." Ouch. The shade was real, and you could feel the tension crank up a notch. Lena just raised an eyebrow, her voice still smooth. "Maybe check the manifest before you jump to conclusions." That line was polite, but it had bite, like she was giving Karen a chance to back off before things got messy. Now, Karen wasn't having it. She was used to people bowing to her little power trips, and Lena's quiet confidence? It was like pouring gasoline on her ego. She leaned in, fake smile plastered on. "I don't need to check anything. I know who belongs here." The cabin went dead quiet, passengers exchanging looks, some whispering, "Who does she think she is?" But Lena? She just leaned back, glanced out at the endless blue sky, and tapped out a quick text on her phone, cool as ever. That move, man, it was like she knew something Karen didn't, and it was driving Karen nuts. Things escalated fast. Karen, fuming, started working the cabin, all smiles and "Can I get you more champagne?" for everyone else. But when Lena politely asked for a glass of water, Karen straight up ignored her. Twice. The second time, Lena raised her hand, voice still calm. "Miss Holt, I'm still waiting on that water." Karen shot her a look that could have melted steel, but kept walking. Passengers started muttering, a guy in a slick suit nearby shaking his head. That's just wrong. You could tell the vibe was shifting. People were done with Karen's attitude. Then came the moment that changed everything. Karen, now practically vibrating with rage, grabbed a tray of ice-cold water from the galley and marched toward Lena. As she passed, she tripped over Lena's foot, right, and dumped the whole tray right on her. Water soaked Lena's suit, dripping onto the floor, and Karen had the nerve to yell, "Why'd you stick your foot out? Look at this mess." The cabin gasped, but Lena? She stood up, dabbed her blazer with a napkin, and looked Karen dead in the eye. "Miss Holt, I didn't move an inch. You did. I'd appreciate some professionalism here." That calm, that control, it was like watching a masterclass in keeping your cool. But Karen? She lost it. Her face turned red, and she snapped, "You don't get to lecture me about professionalism. You shouldn't even be here." The passengers were done. The suit guy, Tom Grayson, stood up. "That's enough. Miss Holt, this is unacceptable." Others chimed in, their whispers turning into outright calls for Karen to chill. And then, in a move no one saw coming, Karen, completely unhinged, raised her hand and slapped Lena across the face. The sound echoed like a gunshot. Everyone froze. Lena didn't even blink. A red mark bloomed on her cheek, but her eyes? They were steel, locked on Karen with this quiet, terrifying power. The cabin erupted. Tom shouted, "You just assaulted a passenger." An older lady gasped, "I've never seen anything so disgraceful." Karen's hand was shaking, her face pale, but she doubled down, stammering, "She provoked me." Yeah, nobody was buying that. Then Lena stood, slow and deliberate, and her voice cut through the chaos like a blade. "Miss Holt, I warned you made the biggest mistake of your life." That line hit like a thunderclap. Karen staggered back, panic creeping into her eyes. And right then, the cockpit door swung open, and Captain Mike Sullivan stepped out, his face grim. He walked straight to Lena's seat and said, loud and clear, ladies and gentlemen. This passenger who Miss Holt has insulted and assaulted is Lena Carter, CEO of Horizon Air, the owner of this airline. The cabin exploded in gasps and whispers. The CEO? No way. Karen's face went from red to ghost white, her knees buckling as she stammered. Didn't know, Mrs. Carter, please. But Lena just looked at her, calm as ever. You had every chance to do the right thing, Karen. You chose not to. Captain Sullivan nodded. Miss Holt, you're done here. And just like that, 2 officers boarded, handcuffs gleaming, and escorted a sobbing Karen off the plane. Lena didn't gloat. She sat back down, gazed out at the clouds, and you could tell this wasn't about revenge. It was about justice. Later, she rolled out new training at Horizon Air, making sure every employee, from pilots to gate agents, knew respect wasn't optional. She even promoted a young attendant, Sarah, who tried to stand up to Karen, turning a painful moment into a new standard for the company. Looking back, Lena's calm. Her patient sight wasn't just strength, it was power. She turned a personal attack into a wake-up call for an entire industry. But here's the thing. Could you stay that composed? If you were Lena, would you have held back, or would you have clapped back sooner? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear how you'd handle it. What you think about justice, fairness, or just dealing with someone like Karen in your own life. If this story hit you like it did me, hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more real, raw stories that make you think. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you in the next one.